All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics never the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.
What is up, everyone? This is the Great coming to you live from the All Sports All Plays Network. This is the full count brought to you by Ray, Greg, and myself. How are the both of you doing?
Doing well, Nate. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm ready to get this show on the road.
Personally, I'm fine. I'm excited for this. But before we actually get to the topics, we have one personal thing that we have to address. And since it is March, it is a new month, still the first week to go. There's plenty of March left. If you want to win a free T-shirt, all you have to do is like the video, comment the video, and be engaged in the show. And we tally all those comments up. If you're that are not part of the network, of course, but we count all those numbers up, and whoever has the most comments gets a free T-shirt. Just simple as that. But say you're on the road and or you're doing something that you're listening to audio or whatever the case is, and you still want a shirt, just message one of us. It's $14.99 plus shipping and handling. The sizes go from small to 2XL. If you wear a bigger size than that, that's no big deal. You can go from 3XL. It's just a couple dollars extra. It's not a big deal at all. Now, going right to the topics. I guess the first question that I have to ask, we talked a lot about the Hall of Fame on this show. Do you think that the Hall of Fame needs to change their voting process? I'm going to go with Ray on this first.
I think they should. I think they should go away with the sports writers' votes and stuff like that, and have the peers and people are already in the Hall of Fame, have them vote for the players, because the simple reason is that they got the insights on how the players had to work hard to get there and know their positions well and within the game of baseball. The writers are only going to, what they're using more is like the political stance for them. If they don't like the player, they're not going to vote for the player. So I think that's totally wrong. I think you just get the sports writers out of there, because they're not really voting for what they think is correctly. They're voting on who they like and who they dislike, and political ramifications. So I think it's up to the players and the and people that are currently playing. I think they should have the most votes and go out to the fans and have the fans vote too.
Greg, what are your thoughts?
I absolutely think that the Hall of Fame voting should change. You know the old saying, "It's nothing personal, it's business." Well, it's the exact opposite in Major League Baseball. Okay, it's completely personal on many levels and very political on many levels. Now we can talk about Curt Schilling, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, all those guys maybe, tied to steroids or performance enhancing drugs and everything. But what it comes down to, like Ray was saying, is if they don't like you, they're not going to vote. There was people that were writing in this year thinking that they weren't going to vote for anybody, even though you had tons of talent. You had Kurt Schilling, who has no ties to performance enhancing drugs, but he has said some stuff that a lot of people didn't like. I saw a sports writer, baseball writer. It was his first time going to vote this year, and he said that he simply did not cast a vote for Kurt Schilling because he personally felt attacked or personally felt bad about some of the things that Kurt Schilling has said. And that's investing your personal life and your personal feelings into a vote that really has nothing to do with your personal life. It has everything to do with what Kurt Schilling did on the baseball field. What he does and says outside of baseball is completely outside of the scope of what they should be voting on. Now, you can talk about performance enhancing drugs and all that. Robert Manfred, the commissioner, has made it clear that all the evidence is sealed and is not going to be disclosed. And he has already said profoundly in the past that, you know, all these players that are tied to it, or, you know, there's whispers and rumors and stuff like that, that should not be counted against them because we don't know. Everything's kind of, you know, it's almost like a Disney vault or something. We don't really know for sure exactly what happened. So he's saying that if you vote on their talent because we don't know 100% whether they took this or that. So like Ray, I think that the fans should have a say just like they do with the Major League Baseball All-Star Game voting. We think that maybe some of the current and past players should also get a say. I think that it needs to be completely reworked because the way it works is if, let's say, a baseball writer does go ahead and cast 0 ballots or votes on his ballot, it takes 3 votes for one person to make up that one absent ballot. So, you know, if you have, say, 10 guys that don't think that they want to vote for anybody, even though there's plenty of talent to at least vote for one person, you know, that's going to be 30 votes that a player is going to have to make up for 10 people. So, yeah, it's a complete disadvantage to certain players the way that it's set up, and I think that it needs to be completely reworked. And yeah, I think they got a lot of work to do because there's a lot of people that are deserving, and I'm not just talking about Bonds and Clemens and Schilling. There's other people in the past that also deserve to be in there that didn't, and there's people that are in there that don't deserve, in my opinion, like we've talked in the past on shows. So I think that the whole thing needs to be reworked and make it more fair so more people can get a fair shake because there's a lot of people, not just professional athletes, but everyone has a lot of baggage outside of their work life and their personal life and everything. And I don't think that their personal life or their personal baggage and everything should follow them around and dictate whether or not they can get accepted into the Hall of Fame.
So what I had to say on this is that I do think that the Baseball Hall of Fame, I mean MLB Hall of Fame, needs to, the voting process does need to change. But out of all Hall of Fames, I think it is a better Hall of Fame than NFL or the NBA. I know it's a baseball show here, but NBA, it's just a basketball Hall of Fame. And then NFL, there's people that get there because of their championship wins. So I think all 3 of those, it does need to be changed, but NFL and NBA is probably a bigger priority. Now moving on to the next topic. Now I'm going to go last on this one, but I'm going to explain why. Greg, since I went with Ray first, I want you to go first on this. Cleveland Indians are going to be changing their names sometime soon. What do you think is the best fit for the what do you think the new name is the best fit for their new name? And you cannot say Cleveland baseball team.
Yeah, I definitely
Uh,
wasn't going to go with the Cleveland baseball team on that one. Now I got a completely wild way with I got a completely wild story about how I came up with this. Okay, Cleveland has the most amount of descendants from Slovenia in the United States for cities and states. Okay,
Sorry.
now Slovenia is known for being a very peaceful nation. Okay, so I thought, for one, why not the Cleveland Peace? You know, they're all about peace in Slovenia. There's a lot of descendants in Cleveland, so I thought Cleveland Peace. Now, another fun fact about Slovenia is that in every 1 in 9 people in Slovenia have some kind of fascination and affection towards keeping bees. Okay, so 1 out of every 9 people in Slovenia are beekeepers, right? And raise bees. So I thought, Cleveland bees, you know. And then I thought, well, let's keep it up with the insect thing and not related to Slovenia. But remember when Phil Hughes was pitching in the playoffs or in a game against the Indians and he had all those little insects flying around his head? Well, those insects are called midges. So I thought, well, the Cleveland midges would be kind of cool. And then the last one, of course, is is in honor and respect to the great Charlie Sheen, Wild Things, after Wild Thing Vaughn. What do you think? Cleveland Wild
Yeah.
Things.
Yeah, that's
Cleveland
pretty
Wild
good.
Things.
That's
Yeah.
kind of funny. Ray, what names do you think is going to best sit for the new whatever this new Cleveland team is for the Cleveland Indians?
Well, I came up with the Cleveland Rockers due to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Also the Cleveland Blues, same thing with the Hall of Fame, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I came up with the Cleveland Spiders. Appears to be clear. It's the front runner right now. It could be the Cleveland Nets. It used to be the American League team. The Spiders was the National League team here in Cleveland back in the 1889s and 1899. I came with the Cleveland Chickens for the City Chicken. Back during the Great Depression, people were buying chicken. They got a thing called the City Chicken that they still doing. I call it Cleveland Towers for the terminal towers that are located in the city, and the Cleveland Buckeyes for Ohio State. And then I got one more, the Cleveland Guardians for the Hope Memorial Bridge. All too familiar with the 8 Guardian of Traffic.
So when I did research for this topic, I looked up what was the most popular animal over in Cleveland. The first article that popped up was the 9 most unusual and blowing out of your mind animals from Cleveland, Ohio. Out of your mind, as in it's not expected to be in Cleveland. That's what I meant. So I went with mascots that fit those animals. Cleveland Kangaroos, the Cleveland Rams, the Cleveland Mud Puppies, the Cleveland Curiosities, Cleveland Ladders, the Cleveland Jellyfish, not the Cleveland Rays, but the Cleveland Lampreys, the Cleveland Bears, and the Cleveland Spiders. So that was kind of fun to do some research on, and all.
I got one more. How about the Cleveland Tribe? The definition of a tribe is a social division, traditional society consisting of families and communities linked. It does not say anything about Indians or anything about that. It could be the Cleveland Tribe.
Now, the next topic is, it could be current, could also be a jersey that's no longer in present world. They could have had an update or and all this kind of stuff. But I want to know, what jersey do you think, even though other people may think it looks terrible, do you actually really like that kind of jersey? That jersey. We're gonna go with Ray first.
Well, the Houston Astros, the yellow, the orange, and black star uniform in 1982. I like it because that's what my local league team baseball uniform was. It was mirrored after the Houston Astros. And then I got the San Diego Padres, the yellow, black, and brown look like mustard uniform. I love that. I love them because I wore the same color for my T-ball team for that one. And then I got the Atlanta Braves, the blue Smurf uniform. I like light blue, and those uniform was actually pretty cool. So.
Okay. Greg, what are your picks for ugly looking uniforms to most of the people, but to you they look pretty cool?
I like the 82 Chicago White Sox jersey and uniforms. They kind of had like the red and blue stripes kind of right under the shoulders area, and then they had the red and blue stripes going across the middle of the chest with the big white socks in the middle. I thought that was a pretty sweet jersey. I mean, in my opinion, a lot of people didn't like it. They switched it up shortly after that, but I thought that was a pretty sweet jersey. The Pirates of the late 70s, when they had that black hat with 3 yellow stripes, and it looked more like someone was working at a prison or something, or working on a ship or something, with the big yellow P in the middle. And then they had those bright yellow and black jerseys that went along with it. I thought that those were kind of cool. I mean, that's about as old school as you can get. And then, of course, the Houston Astros of the mid 70s, you had those, a lot of people thought that they were ugly, but they seem to be making a comeback sometimes. If you watch the Astros games, there's always a few people in the stands with those throwbacks. So you got the kind of the polyester jerseys with the bright orange and yellow, and the stripes going all the way down from the chest all the way down into your pants, and the big star in the middle, or the star kind of mixed in with the stripes, and Astros in white right above it. So I don't know. I thought those were pretty cool.
For me, I'm going 1976. I'm going with the Chicago White Sox jersey. It's just basically white and black were the main colors. People really didn't like it because they wore shorts. But I don't see why that's honestly a big issue. Most of throughout MLB history, teams have been wearing pants, but that's the one exception where they wore shorts. And then I also have to agree with you about Ray about the Astros. Hold on, we have a couple of names. Nate, those are like minor league names. And then J-Max said when the Astros had plexiglass outfield wall. So anything to add on to what we've been saying?
How about the 1970 Baltimore Orioles uniform, all orange, black and white stripes on the sleeve? Reminded me of a deer hunter. Deer hunting uniforms, Clemson University uniforms type deal. They were actually pretty cool myself when I looked at them.
Yeah, Cleveland Indians, I don't think these uniforms were as bad as what people thought, but I think in the 80s they tried to go with like an all red kind of a way set up for their uniform, and I thought that those were pretty decent. So I don't know, a lot of people didn't like them. Those didn't last too long, but yeah, the all red, I don't know, it seemed okay.
So moving on to the next topic. Um, this season's going on. Spring training, the first couple of days I've hit through it already. Hey, at least the Rangers finally get a spring training win. I don't know why I'm spring training, so I don't know why it's really a big deal, but it is to me. Do you have a sleeper pick for this upcoming season? And what about underperforming pick? I'm gonna go with Greg.
All right, I got a few sleepers here for you, Nate. So hold on tight. I think that the West Division in the American League is going to be pretty tight. Okay, I think that the Angels are on the rise. They picked up a closer, something that they haven't really had the luxury of for quite some time. In Iglesias, the Royals. Okay, I know not too many people are thinking too much of the Royals. I think of the Royals kind of right there with the Red Sox. They got a pretty good top of the half of the lineup. Their pitching is a little suspect, but the thing about I can see with the Royals is the Detroit Tigers are way down this year. Um, so I think that if they could get some good production at the top of the lineup and a little bit of decent pitching, I think they could hang with the Twins and the White Sox. So Cleveland and Detroit are pretty much out of the picture, in my opinion, in that division. So I think that the Kansas City Royals actually might have a chance to hang for a little while in that division. The
Do you think they're gonna
Nationals,
make the playoffs?
I don't think that they're going to make the playoffs, but I
Okay,
think that,
okay.
yeah, no, but I'm just talking about teams that are going to be much improved, you know. Um, you're talking about the East, okay? Everybody thinks that it's just going to be two-way race between the Mets and the Braves, and in many ways it might be because they got really good. They made a lot of moves, and the Braves and the Mets have excellent pitching and prospects. But the Nationals, Max Scherzer, he's not really slowing down. A lot of people thought that he might, but he seems to be going strong. Strasburg, he still has plenty of juice in his arm. Corbin, he's a pretty good pitcher. So they got some good pitching, and of course they got Juan Soto, who's all world. So I think that the Nationals are going to be kind of playing tough and keeping that race interesting. And then so those are my sleepers on that. A team that I think's gonna underperform a little bit, like I was saying, I think that the AL West is wide open because the Angels are much improved. They picked up a closer. I think they're gonna play over 500 ball, and I think that they may make some moves come the trade deadline too. Um, I just think that I don't think it's the Astros division anymore. I think that the
I don't either.
Astros right now on paper might look like the best team or the front runner, but I think that the Astros are kind of on borrowed time. I think that things are catching up with them. The A's still have a strong lineup. It's kind of do or die time for them because I don't see them doing too much after, next season. So the A's and the Angels are right on their tail. So I think that the Astros are on their way down, and I think that the Angels are on their way up. And then I hate to say it because I do think that my Cardinals, I think we're going to make the playoffs this year, but I think that this race is going to be ridiculously close. I mean, with the Brewers making a big move today and everything, I think that the Cardinals, picking up Arenado and was huge. We got some good pop in the lineup, but I don't know. I can see the Brewers maybe making a push and overtaking that division. So I hate to say it, but I don't think that my Cardinals are 100% safe yet in that division.
Ray, what are your sleeper and underperformed picks?
Well, he took both my sleeper and my uniform picks, so I'm gonna stick with the Royals. Yeah, hey, I mean, I had that just came off my. I was looking at a Royal. This is how I came up with my picks. I look at the one of the Royals with back in the '80s and stuff like that, and just kind of remind me. And then I put today's team up there, and then what they picked up in the all season. They picked up Mike Minter, um, one of the pitchers that he probably going to need in this season. They picked him up to improve that pitching staff. I looked at their lineup. They still got their power hitting lineup still a little bit here in the middle of the lineup. So what I looked at them is I think the Royals will contend for the wild card spot. They won't contend for the division title. They need a couple more years for that, but I think they can match up pretty good with the wild card teams in the AL in the American League conference division. And my underperforming team he took also was the Houston Astros. Like I said, I think the Astros. I think losing Van Linden to the Tommy John surgery, he's not going to come back healthy right away. They're talking about if they make the playoffs, he might come in to be in the bullpen at that time if they can get into the playoff run. They still got their hidden lineup. Losing Springer during the off season is kind of hurt. They picked up Ryan Presley. You got Ryan Presley. He's going to contend with with Steve Chesnick in the bullpen as a closer. Presley probably going to get the win, but they're going to keep Chesnick in the minor leagues, and he's going to be on a close watch this season for the Royals, for the Houston Astros. I'm sorry, and then I think my other two, I put a little bit more other two sleepers in there. I think the Los Angeles Angels and the Oakland Athletics will both give a run for the Houston Astros in that American League West. So that's my take on that.
So, both of you took my sleeper and underperformed picks. So I mean, I'm actually going to stick with the Angels for my sleeper pick. I actually have them winning the division, the AL West this year. I mean, really, for the past couple of years, all they really needed was a great pitching staff. They had a great everything else with Mike Trout and all of them on there, and then now my underperformed pick. Now I'm going to be really, really, really harsh on this team. We'll have this team going last, but I don't have this team going really well. I don't even think they're going to win 40 games this year. And I know I've said this. I know I've said this a few times. I actually gave it as hot take a few weeks ago, but I'm actually gonna go with Pirates. I don't think they're even gonna win 40 games this year.
I think you're wrong.
I said
on
this
that,
team
Nate.
has gonna go really. You think they're gonna win more than 40 games?
I do. That Brian Hayes, he's an outstanding defensive player. He's probably going to be the rookie of the year this year. I mean, they got some decent prospects. I know they're very young, but I mean, I don't know. I think they're going to be in the bottom of that division for sure. But yeah, I definitely can see them winning, 50, 60 games.
And then my other underperformed team, which was already taken, was the Houston Astros. So, just saying that. Now going on to the next topic, we're going to be talking a little bit about the Brandon. Sorry, this comment's funny. 41 wins.
Um,
We're actually going to be talking a little bit about the Blue Jays. Do you think that they are going to be the best youngest? Are they the best youngest young team in baseball? I almost said youngest, but that's not. Are they the best young team in baseball in the league? We're gonna go with Ray on this first.
in my opinion, I think the Toronto Blue Jays is the hand down best young team in the major league this season. I have to give the San Diego Padres a close second with Fernando Tatis. You have now listen to this. On this for the Torontos, you have a Guerrero, Abigio, and Bayachek. Looks like the 1990s baseball card in that lineup right there. But you must look at the Toronto Blue Jays roster that comes from young talent. You must look at the trio of Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Kevin Biggio, and Bo Bayachek. They will make good strides this season. Bayachek batting average was 301 last season. They needed him to continue to hit, and needed Biggio to start hitting like his dad used to, and be clutch in certain areas. Vladimir Guerrero needs to speed up his training program that he's got going on, and and mirror like his dad did. If these three guys can mirror what their fathers have done into the Major League Baseball, Toronto can be up there and can be contending for the American League East in the next year or so. They got Tusco Hernandez, who is rising outfield. Last season was batting 289 with 16 home runs. You got to look at that, though. They were playing in Buffalo. The Slater field is a little smaller than Major League Baseball, so he had a better chance of making stride a home. If he can improve that this year, the only thing I see with Toronto this year is they're not playing in Toronto. They're playing in their AAA. They're playing in where their training camp is right now. There's only like a few games there, and then they're going to be moving around again. So, I mean, their home games are basically like a road game. So, can they keep this up for 162 games? Will Toronto, will Canada allow them to go into Canada, get back to their home where they can play their home games and be a better team, competing with like everybody else is doing in their home stadiums. So that's why I look at this Toronto team. They can contend for the American League wild card race. Also, this team is not going to be that bad. This team is going to have its up and downs. It's going to be based on their hitting. It's going to be based on those three trios. Then their pitching staff. Can they get the pitching staff back up into their bullpen? Can they have a deep pitching rotation? Can they have a good closer? That's all the things you're going to have to ask for this young team. Can they transform what they did last season into this season? Even though the last season was a short season, and plus they're moving around. They're not having a physical home stadium like they do up in Toronto, since Canada is still closed. That's my opinion right now.
I'm gonna go second on this, and let me explain why. We actually have a comment and said that that Greg Galano, they don't have any pitching. That was from Ace. And I actually agree with you. You kind of alluded it to earlier, and you also said that they're not playing in Toronto this year. I think those two things are going to kill them, at least for my vote. I'm going to flip it. I think that the Toronto Blue Jays are number 2, but I'm also going with the Padres at number 1. They do have a pitching staff, and then they're also the youngest team in the league. The average age is 26.7 in that entire league, and I honestly think they're going to be a strong case for wild card spot in the NL. And I don't even think they're going to be second. I don't even think it's close. I don't even think it's close. I mean, Giants are going to be number 3, no question. But Rockies and Diamondbacks aren't going anywhere. Now, Greg, your turn. Do you think that the Toronto Blue Jays are going to be the best young team in baseball?
I think they're pretty close, but I don't have them as the best young team. I think if you want to look at probably the best young team and probably the team that has the best prospects and probably the best players, under the age of 25, you got to look at you got to look at like the White Sox or the Atlanta Braves. The Atlanta Braves have an excellent farm system. Now, Ace and J-Mac will tell you if you say that a team's got an excellent farm system, then that means that their team sucks. But in baseball, it's completely different because you can have a very good team at the major league level, and you can have an excellent farm system as well. Sometimes, though, if you have a great team, you might not have a great farm system. But the Braves are blessed with both. They have 4 or 5 of the top players in the top 25 under the age of 25 right now on their roster. They have excellent young pitching. The White Sox, they've got a couple really top-notch guys in the top 25. Padres, very young, have a good system too. So I think that the Blue Jays are probably in the top 4 or 5 as far as young teams, and they have some really good young talent with Bichette and Biggio and Guerrero Jr., and then of course Springer's not that old. Simeon's still fairly young. Yeah, I definitely I don't think that Toronto's quite the best. I would say that the Braves and the White Sox and the Padres are probably ahead of them a little bit as far as young talent and who they have coming up. And the Padres have a prospect right now named Mackenzie Gore who's lighting it up, potential starting pitcher. So you may see him sometime this season too. And he's just a terror right now, top draft pick for them. So yeah, I would say I would put Toronto in the 4th spot, but I think that the Braves right now they're pretty loaded. So are the White Sox on young talent.
So the next question that I have is, out of all Major League Baseball, the history, it's the worst ever trade in MLB history. I'm gonna go with Greg first since you just answered the last question.
Okay. Ray, you're going to love this one when I come to it in a minute. We can all talk about Babe Ruth getting bought out by the Yankees and the Bambino curse and all that. That's an obvious, top 1 or 2 right there. To me, I think that the worst trade in baseball history was when the Braves thought it was okay, when the Braves acquired John Smoltz in exchange for Doyle Alexander. I think that was the worst ever trade. Now, Doyle Alexander, he was a one-time All-Star. He won 194 games in the league. But knowing what John Smoltz became, he was a great closer towards the end of his career, outstanding pitcher, Hall of Fame pitcher. All the great years that he put together in an Atlanta Braves uniform. I think that the Braves getting John Smoltz and sending Doyle Alexander away was a great decision because Doyle Alexander only won like 6 more games after he got traded, and he retired shortly after in like 1988 or so after he fractured his jaw. So it turned out very well for the Braves. So I think that was one of the most lopsided trades when you look at it. And I think that a trade that we're also going to look at here very soon is the White Sox getting James Shields and sending Fernando Tatis over to San Diego. I think that's going to be, they're going to be regretting for a long time in Chicago. Even though Chicago has spent some money and has a good team, I think that knowing that they had Fernando Tatis in their system, and they just pretty much gave him away for an ineffective pitcher, is kind of going to burn him for quite some time.
Brandon has a comment. He says Twins trade Tom Paransky for Tommy Hare in 1988. Ray, what do you think is the worst trade in MLB history?
Pedro Martinez goes to Montreal from the Los Angeles Dodgers in 1993 for the second base of Delano Shields. Shields was unproductive years with the Dodgers, while Pedro Martinez became one of the best starting pitcher in baseball. And I have a few more on here. Frank Robertson, December 9th, 1965, going from the Cincinnati Reds to the Baltimore Orioles for a pitcher, Milt Pappas and Jack Balshung, and outfielder Dick Simpson. Frank Robertson became a Hall of Famer. He won a Triple Crown in his first season with the Orioles. Robertson hit the most home runs with 49, batted in the most runs at 122, and led the league with the best batting average with .316. That's my two.
So I have two as well. First one is I don't know why they did that. The Boston Red Sox traded Babe Ruth to the New York Yankees for cash. And then the other one was Randy Johnson to the Mariners for Mark Langston and Mike Campbell. Going back to the Boston Red Sox. I mean, he's a legend. He hit .308 in his career with the Red Sox. The one downfall, he knocked 49 home runs out of the park, but he's been a legend with a 2.19 ERA and 19 shutouts. He's been a legend over at Boston. They traded him for cash. I mean, I'm sorry, Boston Red Sox fans. I had to.
And the curse that came with it. I got a good one for Brandon.
I just
Herrera.
said that.
Giants trade pitchers Joe Nathan and Francisco Liriano for AJ Pierzynski. I thought that Brandon might like that one. That was a pretty good trade for the Twins.
That was funny. And so you're going on to the next topic. We talked about the worst trade, but I want to know, what do you think is the best catcher in MLB history? We're gonna go with Ray on this one first.
One of the greatest catchers all time is Johnny Bench. Yeah, I like Johnny Bench.
And you took my pick already.
If you look at the definition of a catcher in the dictionary, you'll see the picture of Johnny Bench. Bench is known as the little general, the big red machine. He opened the eyes of baseball world to a catcher who was as equally talented at the plate as he was behind the plate. So he was MVP twice, World Series MVP, 14 selection of the All-Star Game, 10 Gold Gloves awards, and the Rookie of the Year award. So Johnny Bench was my number one. I got more if you want.
Greg, do you think is the best catcher? Or second best?
We can talk about Johnny Bench. We can talk about Yogi Berra. They're very close to each other. Probably in the top two statistically. They were pretty close statistically. They both had some World Series titles. Yogi Berra had a whole bunch of World Series titles. Great defense, both great defensive players. My favorite catcher of all time was Carlton Fisk in the 1975 World Series when he hit that home run and was just jumping for joy and waving his arms, trying to get the ball to go fair and everything. That's an iconic moment in sports. But I think if we were going to do a what if version, I would say that the best catcher in my mind would be Roy Campanella. Roy Campanella, before he became paralyzed, played in 5 World Series, won a World Series championship. he's one of 7 or 8 players to win 3 MVPs. In a 10-year span, or 3 MVPs period. And his career was cut a little bit short, but he still was on track for the Hall of Fame. He's in the Hall of Fame, and I think that had he not gotten that car accident, been paralyzed, we could have got another 5 or 6 great years out of Roy Campanella. So I'm thinking we kind of got cheated a little bit with him becoming paralyzed, because I think that he'd probably be the number one the way that he was going. He was averaging about 25 home runs a year or more up to that point, and excellent defensive player, leader on the team. So, in my opinion, we can talk about Johnny Bench, we can talk about Yogi Berra, both fantastic players. But I think that looking at Roy Campanella's play over 10 seasons and then getting cut short due to getting in an automobile accident, I really think that he was probably on pace to be the number one catcher of all time. It's very unfortunate.
So I'm going to go way back, early 1900s. John Peter Gochner. No, I'm kidding. I'm actually going to add on to what Ray said about Johnny Bench. The one thing I am going to add is what awards he's gotten. Rookie of the Year, 10 Gold Glove awards, 2 National League MVPs, 14-time All-Star. I mean, how could you not put Johnny Bench? I mean, it's crazy. So to move on to the next topic, we're gonna break down a signing that happened today. You alluded to the Brewers earlier, Greg, on this, but the Brewers signed a guy by Jackie Bradley Jr., who used to be part of the Boston Red Sox. Since you alluded to him, Greg, why don't you, did you like that? Did you like that move? And why? Like, what do you think on that?
Yeah, I like that move. 2 years, $24 million. Over the past 5 years, statistically, Jackie Bradley has been an outstanding all-world defender in the outfield. Okay, he's got excellent defensive numbers. He's second or third to just, it's a very short list in who he's behind on defensive statistics out there in the outfield. So I think that it was a great pickup from a defensive standpoint. Now, Jackie Bradley, in the past few years, he hasn't exactly tore it up offensively. His average isn't that great, so you don't know if you're going to get great output necessarily from the batter's box. But I like the move. He's an everyday player. He's a solid player, and defensively, his defensive numbers may be going down a little bit, but they're still very, very good. Mm-hmm. So, but 5 years ago, he was second to none out there defensively. So I would say that it's still a great pickup. They're going to have a lot of great defensive plays to see this year with him in the lineup. So, I think that the Brewers need a lot more than just a great defensive outfielder that can, get some decent hits. Though I think that they need to open up their pocketbooks and do a little bit more. I don't think that, they're going to be an outstanding postseason level team just picking up Jackie Bradley. But it's a move in the right direction for a mid-market team. So I like it.
Ray?
Just piggyback off Greg here. Yeah, I don't know if he will help him in the offensive thing, but he will help him in the defense. Just think about what the Brewers can employ in the outfield right now. They have 3 All-Stars, 3 Gold Gloves, and 1 MVP in their outfield going from left to right. This will go with Christian Yelich, Lorenzo King, and Jackie Bradley. Just think about that. They have a great defense out in the outfield. And like I said, like Greg said, hitting wise, he's not a very, he's not up there in the elite guys, and you can't use him in the leadoff either because he only has 60 career stolen bases. You want a faster guy in your leadoff, so he's going to probably be in that lower half of the lineup. I think they got him for more to shore up that defense. Try to help him in that little bit in the lineup. Like I said, they're gonna have to go out and get more hitters and stuff like that to prime that offensive lineup into the and a little bit more pitching too to help them get into that playoff run. I don't even think they're going to be contending with the wild card either.
Wait, you don't think Boston is gonna do it, or the Brewers?
The Brewers ain't going to do it, not because they need more hitters. The Brewers need actually more hitters and more pitching to be up there in that wild card talk. They're not even in. I think they're probably like third or fourth in their division at best.
I think, to be honest, I think that it was an okay move. You're right, Ray. It didn't really exactly address what they need. They need more hitters, and that didn't help at all in the offense. It helped defense, but it didn't help out in the offense. I mean, it was an okay move, only because he didn't get more years on the contract. If he had, like, say, a contract for 5 years, then I don't think that was a smart move at all. It was 2-year term, then that's completely different. So that's the last topic I had. I'm gonna go with Greg. I'm gonna go Ray, then Greg, then myself. Any final comments before we call it a ball game?
Well, we're talking about some worst trades and stuff like catchers and stuff, but in the Bradley move and stuff, I think we had a pretty good show today. I think we covered a lot of topics that people probably didn't know about the catching and stuff like that. But being personally, I just like to go back to the one of the worst trades in there, and I think nobody covered it. But Chicago Cubs traded Lou Brock to St. Louis Cardinals for pitcher Ernie Bargilio in 1964. I think that was one of the dumbest moves ever. I mean, Bigelow he won 21 games and lost 9 in 1960. He was young and had many good years left in him, or so everyone thought. Brock, who had played for the Cubs for 2.5 years, didn't burn out Wrigley Field. His batting average was the Cubs in 1963 was only lower .251, slightly worse than .262. He hit before the trade, but I think then Brock went to the Cardinals, caught fire, batted .348 for the rest of the 1964 season, and stole 33 bases. The Cards became champion of the National League that year. Brock found his stride with the Cardinals, hitting 307 times from 1965 to 1979. So, I think that was one. I think that trade was up there in rankings. That's my take.
Greg?
Yeah, I think that tonight was a really good show. We covered a lot of fun topics, and I can't wait till the next one when we kind of get into to another fun topic of maybe recasting one of Hollywood's great baseball iconic movies. But yeah, there was a few trades that we left out as well, as far as the worst trades. But think back in the 90s when the Red Sox let Jeff Bagwell go, and all they picked up was a middle reliever named Larry Anderson. I mean, that was kind of a dumb trade, future Hall of Famer, great power hitting first baseman, going to the Astros for, pretty much nothing. And then, of course, another one, though, with the Red Sox, favor was when they picked up Kurt Schilling and Pete Harnisch and Steve Finley, and all they had to give up was Glenn Davis. And Glenn Davis, didn't exactly tear it up, but the Red Sox got 3 big studs. So That was a pretty good one. So, Schilling went on to win a few championships, and it really paid off for him. So, yeah.
All right. So, my final comment is, hey, I'm excited that we actually won a preseason game. Referring to the Rangers here, and picking on your Athletics, but y'all blew a 7-0 lead against the Colorado Rockies yesterday. So this has been Nate the Great, Greg, and Ray signing out for now. But we talked about the worst trades. Nothing can probably be worse than the Nolan Arenado trade.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making the plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. Great eye in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics never the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace up the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.